Good morning, and thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. And it is a practice. If you'd like to magnify your mind, to add more power to your thoughts, to really go after what you truly desire, it takes thinking. It takes thinking in a different way, and it takes learning how to become the person who has the goal already attained. This is a quote that is so remarkable, but it made me crazy when I first heard it. Napoleon Hill said, "Remember, it takes no more effort to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty." Wow. I thought, well, I wasn't totally miserable and I wasn't in abject poverty, but I always wanted more. And I always had a smile on my face, but inside I thought, there's something wrong with me. And no matter how hard I work, why aren't I getting ahead on paying my bills? And this sounded so stupid to me. It takes no more effort to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. Well, think about all the people around you who have just accepted misery and poverty. It's just the way it is. Look at the news, look at the food bank lineups, look at my paycheck. No matter how hard I work, the more overtime I work, the more taxes I pay. And it gets into a lot of complaining and blaming and victim mentality. So, how can we aim high in life, demand abundance and prosperity, and have that overcome misery and poverty? That just didn't make sense to me. But I started to study with Bob Proctor. I started to study the laws of the universe. I started to understand the power of my mind. And I know that I've studied for years and still nowhere near understanding everything. And Bob Proctor studied for over 60 years and taught powerful material. When he passed away at the age of 87, he had been studying Think and Grow Rich for 60 years, on top of all the other material that he studied and provided to the world. One of the things that he studied was a little book called U Squared by Price Pritchett. And I'm going to talk about a couple of paragraphs from U Squared and explain how you can use it. When Price Pritchett talks about U Squared, he suggests it implies an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. Well, if we're going to understand how to aim high in life, to demand abundance and poverty, and to stop accepting misery and poverty, we better start to understand that we can't continue step by step logically going in the same direction we've always gone, doing the same thing that everybody else does, doing the same thing that we've always done, because that leads to the same results. So the first step is to have a goal that you fall in love with. Getting quiet and thinking about, if I had abundance and prosperity, if I had wealth, if I had time freedom, if I could go into the universal storehouse and say, that's how I want to live. That's what I want in my life. And we had that ability, just like waving a magic wand. What would that look like? You may not have all the details clear yet, but you know you want something as a spiritual being here on earth, co-creating our life with God. We understand that through our actions, the universe reacts. We get what we cause in our life. So if we have results that we would love to have, we want to start thinking about what that looks like, what that would feel like to already be there. And you might say, I don't know what it would feel like. But you want to feel differently. You want to feel better. You want to feel calm. You want to feel at peace. You want things to come more easily. Maybe you want to experience more beautiful things or experiences. Well, think about every great performer, whether it's an artist, a singer, an athlete, a top business person. Every great performer at some point, at some time, they made a decision that they're not going to settle for another logical step. They're not going to settle for what is. They're not going to settle for what they have accomplished in the past. And they're certainly not going to settle for what other people tell them to do or what they even think they could do. For some reason, they have become aware that they truly do have more potential. They can do great things. What is something that you want to do, regardless of what anyone else thinks? Regardless of how many times you failed in the past. Think about the professional athletes or the great singers, how many hours they would have devoted to practicing their craft and failing, trying something and failing, pushing their limits and failing. You have to be okay with failing, with falling on your face and getting up and trying again. Bryce Pritchett says that each one of us is magnified. He calls it U squared. U squared. It's hard to even imagine what that means, but if you square a number, if you take 4 times 4, you get 16. If you take 10 times 10, you get 100. If you squared if you squared your accomplishments, what would that look like? If we understand that we have unlimited potential, there's infinite possibility, then thinking about U squared, you being able to multiply your results. Pritchett says it's a formula for stunning advances in achievement and the realization of your dreams. Formulas are helpful things. They have a tendency to reduce complicated, misunderstood concepts into simple terms. Here we're talking about stunning advancement in achievement. Imagine what that would mean to you. Pritchett says that U squared is a formula for the realization of your dreams. It gives your dream a strategy that will turn your dream into physical realization. The concept of exponential gains rather than incremental progress is something that we usually discount pretty quickly. We don't believe it could happen. We're so programmed to take logical steps. We're so programmed to try harder to get 5 or 10% better, 5 or 10% increases every year. But what if that's an old concept? Look at how our world has changed since the Wright brothers learned how to get an airplane up in the air for 14 seconds. And now you can fly all over the world. You can take a shower on a jet while you're going across the ocean. That was unheard of not that long ago. Even communicating by cell phones was unheard of in previous generations. So the things that you can imagine in your marvelous mind are way beyond the comprehension of other people and past generations. And you were programmed to work within the world that you were born into. But maybe you're 30 or 40 or 50, 60, 70 years old. The world has changed completely since you were born. You're not that little baby anymore. You're not a toddler. You're not a teenager getting embarrassed and ashamed and worried and trying things and failing and not wanting to try again because what will people think of you? You don't have to worry about what other people will think of you. What do you want? Instead of accepting other people's opinions of you, accepting the old version of you, think about what Napoleon Hill said. It takes no more effort to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. We're living in an age where science is starting to understand quantum leaps, and you can make a quantum leap in your life. You don't have to go back to the old theories that are now outdated, and you don't have to go back to your parents telling you, don't do that, you might get hurt. Don't touch that hot stove. Look both ways before you cross the street. Don't take risks. You might lose. You might fail. Well, people who have the most successful lives, the biggest wins, are the ones who are prepared to take risks. You know what you're going to give up, but you have no idea what you could get. What would you love to have better in your life? A better marriage? A better love life? A better family relationship? What could you see in the world that you could make better when you look at a problem, when you look at something that is a fact in our world? What could you do to make it better? Inventors are always looking for ways to make things easier for people. If you sit and look at at a current result, a physical object, Use your imagination to change it. How could it be better? How could it be different? That's how everything has been changed. Someone looking at a chair and deciding to make it softer, make it recline, make it higher, make it lower, make it a love seat. What are you looking at in your life that you would prefer to be better? It could be a physical object. It could be what's in your bank account. It could be the vehicle you're driving. Grace Pritchett says, quantum leaps can come without apparent effort. These are high velocity moves that carry you to dramatically higher performance levels without a time-consuming struggle. What Grace Pritchett explained in that statement spells promise. It spells power, possibility, and promise. This kind of thinking and living definitely resonates with the essence of who you are. Your mind is so powerful. You're creating your life through your thoughts and your actions, and you can tell if you're creating what you want when you're feeling light and happy and joyful and grateful. And you can tell that when you're not feeling great, when you're feeling anxiety, depression, disease, fear, worry, doubt, your thoughts are going out into the invisible universe and they're attracting to you more things to confirm that you have something to worry about. We want to direct our thoughts to what we truly want, feeling joyful, happily anticipating something better coming along. You don't have to worry about the logical way that things have always been done, because if we always do what we've always done, we're never going to get something better. The world used to, everyone in the world used to think that the world was flat. When people sailed across the ocean, not only Christopher Columbus, but other well-known explorers, they set sail and people said, oh, don't do that. You're going to fall off the end of the earth. They knew that they could explore and find what is beyond what we could see. Let's go see. And they discovered new lands. Rocket ships have been built. There are people right now that are in satellite space stations. That was science fiction in my young life. If people believed that you couldn't exist in space, that was logical because no one had ever done it before. But that's controlling what you think is possible for you. The Wright brothers were not logical. Sir Edmund Hillary would never have gotten to the top of Mount Everest. He never would have left base camp if he was letting logic control him. You have a dream. Don't let it stay a dream. Make it a goal. And when you let go of logic and fear, when you start to focus on what you truly desire, if you want your dreams to manifest, if you want your results in life to multiply, you're going to have to let go of logic, of the way things have always been, of your comfort zone. Price Pritchett said, the idea of moving to a higher orbit and skipping several rungs along the achievement ladder in the process strikes people as far-fetched, maybe even outrageous. But if you've talked about doing something great, making a big move, if you talked about it with other people or maybe your family or your coworkers, you might have been shot down by the masses as that's crazy, that's ridiculous, that'll never work. That's why you have to be so careful when you select the people that you want to brainstorm and mastermind with, who you want to tell your dreams to, because people will talk you out of going after what you really want because of their scarcity and lack and limitation mentality and their logical mind kicking in. It doesn't mean it's not possible. Whatever you truly desire, what you see in your mind, plant it in your heart and spend time thinking about it. It's not wishful thinking, it's visualizing. Visualizing yourself already living the way you want to be living. In Price Pritchett's book, U Squared, he says, trying harder is not necessarily the solution for achieving more. It may not offer any promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes on a breakthrough by trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. You can't be defensive. I don't want you to fight against what's happening out there. And don't spend your energy defending your position, why you are where you are, why you don't have what you want. What if you accepted the idea that you could have a beautiful, fantastic goal, whether it's millions of dollars flowing into your bank account, living life easily, enjoying what you love to do, enjoying your work, having a purposeful occupation that serves people to their highest good and makes you wealthy in the meantime. What if you really could take that trip of a lifetime and renovate your house and have loving family relationships? We've been programmed that there's not enough time and not enough money. We have to be busy. We have to do. I'm going to ask you to think about U squared having an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. This concept is one of exponential gains rather than incremental progress. And quantum leaps can come without apparent effort. I'm going to ask you to stop whatever you're doing if you're multitasking and just sit quietly and think about what comes to your mind when you think about if you could choose one thing that would really make you happy, healthy, grateful, wealthy, feeling better about life. It might just be a dream right now, but what would that look like? There are infinite possibilities. What if you started to believe that you have the potential to multiply your effectiveness, multiply your results. You know when you're on the level of thinking of the solution rather than thinking of the problem, it's a totally different energetic vibration. It's a totally different feeling. I want you to get into the feeling of what it would be like if your dream was a reality, if your wish was fulfilled, if you were living the life that you would prefer, that you really, really, really want. And it's going to come to you more easily than you could possibly imagine. It's here now. Take a deep breath in. And let's spend another moment or two visualizing what would it look like to live with the love, the money, the health, the purpose that you really want to fulfill. Maybe you could think of it as it's getting toward the end of your life and people are talking about the fantastic things you created, what you did with your life. They're congratulating you for your accomplishment. What would that be? What would they write about you? See if you can imagine, get a clear picture, bring in some details of what that would be, what that would look like if you have infinite potential and you've only been using a fraction of your marvelous mind. If you could stop thinking logically for a couple of minutes, write down what would it look like to live my dream. Imagine it and then feel what that would be like. It takes practice to get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I want you to write it down. Take a piece of paper or your journal or your gratitude journal, your wish list, and write down, I am so happy and grateful now that. So whatever dream you're holding in your heart, whatever you could wish for that you truly desire, write it down, but write it down as if it's already happened. That's why you could start with, I am so happy and grateful now that. And then write down the crazy, outrageous, ridiculous dream. Now that I'm a billionaire, now that I'm enjoying my life and bringing a fantastic experience to my family and friends and to the world, how would you be living if you truly lived the way you want to live? For now, don't tell anyone else. Just write it down, think about it, dream about it. And as you're sitting quietly reflecting on what that would look like, see if you can fill in more details. And as you're feeling what it's like to be there, when you start to get ideas, when you start to get impulses, when new thoughts to do something differently come to your mind, take action on them. As you take action, as you do things differently, the universe will notice and start to send you confirmation that you're on the right path. Join me back here tomorrow morning at 7 for another round of morning mindfulness and talking more about the secret to increasing the power of your mind. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Create a wonderful day.